Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of U.S. Election Special Broadcast. I'm Susan Tehrani. First, a look at the headlines.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden headed to Ohio for the much-anticipated first presidential debate. This as Trump and Biden engaged in the most polarized election campaign in American history. Trump's candidate for the Supreme Court seat, Amy Coney Barrett, to begin courtesy calls on Capitol Hill as Republicans push for her confirmation before Election Day. A series of meetings slated to begin with a joint gathering with the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Vice President Pence. A bitter standoff over a relief package for millions of Americans reeling from the damaging economic crisis. The Democrats unveil a scaled-back $2.2 trillion coronavirus relief package before the White House negotiators as a last-ditch attempt to strike a bipartisan deal before the election. California governor declares a state of emergency in 3 counties because of the Glass and Zork fires that have claimed 3 lives and burned thousands of acres in the state since Sunday. The counties include Napa, Sonoma, and Shasta. Texas in the United States on high alert after a brain-eating amoeba kills a 6-year-old boy. The amoeba found in the state's water supply. The governor of Texas has issued a disaster declaration.
Heading into this year's inaugural general election showdown, U.S. President Donald Trump will meet former Vice President Joe Biden for their first one-on-one matchup in Cleveland, Ohio. The much-anticipated presidential debate has also been dubbed as the Super Bowl of American democracy, which will undoubtedly captivate the nation and the world. Clocks around the world have been set to a countdown for 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 6:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time for the 90-minute debate with no commercial breaks. However, just hours before this long-anticipated debate, U.S. President Donald Trump has framed it as a test for his opponent's cognitive abilities. Will this tactic work? And how is Joe Biden handling the situation? Our next report tells you more.
In a new slur aimed at the Democratic rival's mental capacity, Donald Trump has demanded drug tests before the first presidential debate. After weeks of attempting to sow doubt over former vice president's state of mind, Trump stepped up his jibes, saying that he was willing to take a drug test at the event, provided Biden did the same. The comments come only days before the live face-off in Ohio. For the first presidential debates and a fiercely contested November 3rd election.
That's why I made it a priority my entire career to work closely with you. From the time I got to the Senate 180 years ago, as well as my tenure as vice president. For example, the Paycheck Protection Act. 1% of the money's gone out. 1%. 1% of the that's not the paycheck. The bill for small businesses. Lending. Mainstream lending. 1%'s gone out.
The president's attacks without any evidence are designed to paint the former vice president as being unfit for office. When asked about Trump's drug testing demands at a news conference in Ohio, Joe Biden laughed off and said,
He's almost... No, I have no comment.
However, the Biden campaign unloaded on Trump, saying that the president apparently believed that the best case for his re-election could be made in urine. The deputy campaign manager of Joe Biden, Kate Bedingfield, gave an interview to Politico where she said that we would expect nothing less from Donald Trump, who pissed away the chance to protect the lives of 200,000 Americans. Later this month, the 45th President of the United States had accused the Vice President of taking performance-enhancing drugs. In an interview to Fox News, Donald Trump shredded his political niceties and suggested, again without any evidence, Joe Biden is taking something that gives him clarity.
I think there's probably, possibly drugs involved. That's what I hear. I mean, there's possibly drugs. I don't know how you can go from being so bad where you can't even get out a sentence. I mean, you saw some of those debates with the large number of people on the stage. He was, I mean, I used to say, how is it possible that he can even go forward? And he only won because Elizabeth Warren didn't drop out. Had she dropped out, Bernie would have won Super Tuesday every state, and you would have had Bernie instead of Biden.
The former businessman has often cited Biden's penchant for gaffes, which some believe to be linked to the Democrats' lifelong struggle with stuttering and also his reluctance to face unscripted questioning from reporters.
There's nothing they can ask me that I won't give them a proper answer to. Some people will like it, some people won't like it.
I agree with that.
But look,
you answer the
let Biden sit through an interview like this. He'll be on the ground crying for mommy. He'll say, mommy, please take me home.
Well, we've asked him for an interview, sir.
He can't do an interview. He's incompetent.
And on the other side, Trump takes questions from reporters almost daily, but is known for his own frequently garbled and baffling statements. Surprisingly, this is not the first time that Donald Trump has demanded a drug test of his opponents. Days ahead of his 2016 presidential debate, Trump had accused his rival Hillary Clinton of taking drugs and had demanded to be tested before the debates.
No, a lot of things are going on, folks. A lot of things. I think she's actually getting pumped up. If you want to know the truth, she's getting pumped up. You understand? In fact, we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes.
Mocking the former First Lady and Secretary of State of taking performance-enhancing drugs. Given the current edge in the polls and the bombshell report on President's tax avoidance, Joe Biden and his campaign team has picked up the opportunity to unleash a series of attacks on social media. The latest financial reports of Donald Trump and Hunter Biden have brought contentious new issues into the already fired-up presidential campaign. With the upcoming stretch of debates, the election campaigns seem to have slid from faith and fairness to wealth and taxes.
The middle class built this country, and unions built the middle class.
Preparations have been made for the first big debate night due to start in just a few hours. However, it seems the festivities have already begun on the platform of choice, that being Twitter, where narratives are being written and judged by the other side. We've witnessed many unflattering and sometimes manipulative ads against Joe Biden by the Trump campaign. This has caused Trump supporters to believe that the president will mop the floor with an incoherent opponent. However, Democrats believe that's simply not the case. Some Republicans agree with them. Here's a report.
What do you have to do to win the debate?
Just tell the truth.
Joe Biden he doesn't seem like the guy he's not messing with Trump.
He doesn't know that many facts. He doesn't know much about foreign policy. He doesn't know much about domestic policy. He doesn't know much about the detail.
He had 8 years him and Obama, in order to do something, but he didn't exceed.
Hi, Donnie. Have a nice trip. Don't forget to pack your tanning bed and all your makeup. I mean, you never know what's lying in wait at Rikers, right? I'm sure your family's gonna miss you, but I won't, and the rest of us won't either. In fact, we'll be dancing in the streets. But you do have something to look forward to. I think they might feature your cell in Architectural Digest. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, nice talking to you. Have a nice trip.
With two bombshell reports on Donald Trump and Hunter Biden's finances, the world is expecting a brutal first presidential debate. Just one day before the event, polls indicate Joe Biden leads on the national front. However, who is leading in crucial swing states? And will opinions change after this debate? Let's find out.
One day to go for the first presidential debate of US election 2020. The stage is set for the biggest face-off. US President Donald Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden are bracing to go face-to-face. A few hours ahead of the presidential debate, who is leading on the opinion poll charts? How popular are Trump and Biden among voters before they get their first make-or-break moment? Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden enjoys an overall comfortable lead. An average of all polling data shows that Biden leads Trump by almost 7 points. As the US election inches closer, it is the key battleground states which will decide the fate of the two candidates. Ohio, the state where the first presidential debate of 2020 will be held. In the 2016 presidential election, Trump won Ohio's 18 electoral votes. He defeated his opponent, Hillary Clinton, by 8 points. A day before the presidential debate this year, Joe Biden leads in Ohio by more than 3 points. Biden leads in the state despite not making any campaign appearance since early March. He will take his campaign to eastern Ohio after the first presidential debate. In fact, in 2016, it was a close call between Trump and Clinton in Florida. Clinton lost the state in 2016 by a small margin of 1 point. Opinion polls show a similar trend, except that this time it favors Biden, who enjoys a slight lead. Minnesota witnessed a wave of the Black Lives Matter protests this year in the aftermath of George Floyd's custodial deaths. In 2016, Clinton defeated Trump by a close margin. And this year, the poll prediction suggests that it won't be a close call as Biden leads with more than 9 points. Wisconsin witnessed heightened racial tensions after a police official shot at a black man in Kenosha. Trump's 2016 victory in Wisconsin came as an unexpected development. The state usually leans towards Democrats. Poll predictions suggest that Biden holds a comfortable lead in the state. Coming to Pennsylvania, another key state where Trump defeated Clinton in 2016's presidential elections. This year, Biden has beaten Trump in nearly every public poll in Pennsylvania. A day before the presidential debate, Biden holds a 5-point lead. On an average, Biden holds a national lead. Biden maintains a lead in 7 states that Trump won in 2016. Voters are more interested in US politics than ever before. 6 out of 10 registered voters say that they are following the election very closely. Will Biden remain the popular choice, or will the presidential debate influence polls and put Trump in the lead? We will wait and watch. US Election Desk, WION World is One.
Moderator Chris Wallace will be sharing the spotlight with the 2 U.S. presidential candidates. The veteran TV journalist has a reputation for playing it straight with politicians and his guests on the network. Wallace and his show are also known for not necessarily being cheerleaders of President Trump. Here's a report on the first Moderator and what to look out for.
The first presidential debate will begin in less than 24 hours. The stage is set for the first verbal battle of the most polarized election that the U.S. has witnessed. The debate will be moderated by none other than Chris Wallace. The Fox News anchor has a reputation of playing it straight at a network where hosts usually lean to the right. 72-year-old Wallace is the son of the late reporter Mike Wallace. During his 13-year stint at the NBC, Wallace covered the White House and hosted political talk shows.
And hello again from Fox News in Washington. Today from the White House, we're on the...
He joined Fox News in 2003. In an interview with the New York Times, Wallace said he does not agree with the stuff he hears, but what matters to him is what he's allowed to do. Wallace does not shy away from confrontations, even if that means taking on President Trump.
But
they'll be open very soon.
Let me just ask my question.
In a recent interview, when Trump boasted about passing a cognitive test with flying colors, Wallace pointed out that it was not that difficult, as one of the questions was identifying a picture of an elephant.
No. You see, that's all misrepresentation.
Well, that's what it was on the web.
It's all misrepresentation.
Welcome. Let's get right to it.
Chris Wallace served as moderator for one of the 2016 presidential debates between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, becoming the first Fox News anchor to do so.
Should be interpreted.
The 90-minute televised presidential debate will be politically charged. The COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. economy, race and violence, the personal records of the candidates, the row over the Supreme Court appointment, and integrity of the election are the issues expected to figure prominently. Here are the moments to watch out for. The New York Times report revealing Trump's controversial federal income tax records might put Biden in a better position. He might resonate with working-class Americans who understand everyday economic struggles while paying taxes. Biden's presidential campaign has largely been a low-key affair. He has refrained from holding in-person election rallies amid the COVID-19 pandemic. This time, he will be sharing the spotlight with Trump.
Safe again.
So far, Trump has not taken responsibility for rising COVID-19 cases and deaths in the United States. He has blamed Democrats, activists, scientists, anybody but him. However, voters like to see a president take responsibility for the good and the bad. The track record of the experienced moderator, Chris Wallace, suggests that he might ask some tough questions. It would be interesting to watch how Trump responds. There have been many instances in the election campaign where facts were twisted and turned. Trump is caught in this loop more than anyone else. It is one thing to fact-check during an election campaign. Confirming facts during a presidential debate is a different game.
I will not let that happen. If I'm your president...
How will Biden turn into a real-time fact-checker? We will be closely watching. U.S. Election Desk, WION. World is One.
The coronavirus pandemic has been a central theme in the election campaign this year, and it will play a crucial role in the first presidential debate. However, recent reports indicate that the information reaching the president is either inaccurate or taken out of context. Despite this, the U.S. president has announced 150 million rapid test kits will be distributed across the nation. Some are asking, is this a well-thought-out decision, or is it politically motivated? Here's a report.
More than 7 million COVID-19 cases. More than 200,000 deaths. As the United States continues to deal with rising cases, two senior health experts are concerned that correct information about the pandemic is not reaching the U.S. president.
The risk is considerable.
In an interview to a news platform, U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci said that either the information is taken out of context or is actually incorrect. The director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Robert Redfield, shared similar concerns in an interview to another news platform. Atlas was a late addition to the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Since his appointment, he has been working as a medical expert who spends most of his time with President Trump. He is a neuroradiologist with no background whatsoever in infectious diseases. Health experts have criticized Atlas for downplaying the importance of face masks and for his reported views on herd immunity. White House spokesperson Sarah Matthews said that advisors sometimes disagree, but the president takes decisions based on all information that he receives. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the U.S. federal government will distribute 150 million rapid coronavirus test kits to states.
This will be more than double the number of tests already performed. And here's our plan. 50 million tests will go to protect the most vulnerable communities, which we've always promised to do, including 18 million for nursing homes, 15 million for assisted living facilities, 10 million for home health and hospice care, hospice care agencies, and nearly 1 million for historically black colleges and universities, and also tribal nation colleges.
By a healthcare provider, but it can be done supervised.
The Assistant Secretary for Health, Department of Health and Human Services, Admiral Brett Giroir, demonstrated the rapid test during the announcement.
Twisted 3 times, the adhesive is pulled off, and you wait 15 minutes, and that is the test.
The U.S. President, Vice President Mike Pence, along with White House advisor Scott Atlas, warned that ramped-up testing may lead to more positive COVID-19 cases in the days ahead. The Coronavirus Task Force members, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Dr. Deborah Birx, and CDC Director Robert Redfield were not present at this event. States will receive the test kits on the basis of their population and would be used as governors deem fit. Trump hopes that these tests will ramp up efforts to reopen schools that have been closed for months. Rapid tests are essential for reopening of the U.S. economy, but there are various challenges ahead. The government has lost pivotal weeks distributing and then correcting a flawed test developed by scientists. Private labs and hospitals have struggled to ramp up testing, given the shortage of key supplies. Only in the last 2 months has the U.S. testing capacity exceeded demand. Abbott's test is cost-effective and easy to use, but less accurate. The announcement of rapid test distribution comes 5 weeks before the U.S. presidential elections. Trump continues to face criticism over his handling of the coronavirus pandemic. The United States is currently the worst affected country in the world. More than 40,000 coronavirus cases are being reported every day. With this step, will Trump earn voters' trust ahead of the presidential election, or is it too little too late? We will have to wait for the answers. U.S. Election Desk, WION World is One.
The United States' largest school district, New York City, is opening its classroom doors for elementary school students. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio pushed for the reopening of in-person classes for more than 1 million students and 75,000 teachers. However, the option of exclusive online classes still remain. Apart from hand sanitizers and masks, students will be greeted with a temperature check and even a rapid testing machine in some cases. We took a look at a few schools in New York City and talked to educators to learn what to expect. New York City, once the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, is also home to the largest school district in the United States. This week, it has taken the biggest step of any major city by restarting in-person classes. Over 1 million public school students have a hybrid schedule, alternating between classrooms and remote learning. Pablo Muriel is a parent and a teacher at the Alfred E. Smith High School located in South Bronx, the nation's poorest congressional district.
A lot of our kids don't have, even if they have the laptops that the school sent to them, they don't have the internet service. It's not like the city's providing it for free for the kids.
Apart from technological challenges, there is a staffing crisis where schools need more teachers to make the hybrid model work. Also, large schools are often in older buildings without proper ventilation. Those in newer buildings don't have the space for social distancing, creating health and safety concerns for both families and teachers.
I have not met one teacher yet that has said they felt safe. What I do see is a lot of courageous teachers. I do see that. I see teachers coming in and they're obviously nervous, but they don't want to say it. And so you don't want to go into a room nervous and then get the kids nervous.
Hybrid reopening also creates inconsistencies in childcare, since parents can't return to work on a regular basis. U.S. President Donald Trump has stressed on the importance of reopening schools for the sake of children's education and for parents to go back to work. The president has threatened to cut federal funding for school districts that don't open this fall.
The biggest problem in New York and really in the United States has been political conflict, exacerbated by the coronavirus and the approaching national election. We have a president of the United States who calls for full reopening of schools as part of the re-election campaign.
The president, however, has little authority over schools. It's widely a state and local issue. However, despite New York City having months to prepare for in-person learning, it has yet to address the many concerns of teachers, parents, and students. Susan Tehrani from New York for WION. World is One. We've come to the end of today's edition of U.S. Election Special Broadcast. Thank you so much for staying with us and watching. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, goodbye.